last red flag that I continuously see is that nobody that's a small agency managed to adjust to the iOS 14.5 update. Like, I just see so many agencies not understanding MER, not understanding tracking. Like, I talked to a guy that's like, I'm a professional at this and that, and he's like, man, not a single UTM anywhere. Or, for example, exclusions. That's the one thing that you continuously see everywhere. People running campaigns that work for 3 days and then they die. And I'm like, of course, when you start hitting the same people and over again, because the agency doesn't understand how the algorithm works. One of the agencies that contacted me through you, Ralph, they said that they have, that was actually the company we talked about, Frieda Rothman. So their current agency is just launching every goddamn day a new campaign because it works for 3 days and then it dies. So they're just every 3 days restarting. Right. And that's what they said to me yesterday on the call. And I still can't believe they told me that.
Unbelievable. And the reason they don't know why that is. So what was your diagnosis on that one in particular? We're launching a brand new campaign every 3 days because after 3 days it dies. Like, what was your diagnosis there?
Exclusions. If you don't have exclusions for purchasers, website visitors, or anything else, what's going to happen is that the algorithm is going to focus to the highest chance of conversion, also like known as lowest hanging fruit. So what's going to happen is if it's going to continuously start hitting the people that reacted at the start of the campaign. So it's basically going to end up being some kind of weird remarketing campaign. And I saw campaigns that are like wide or broad campaigns that had like 5 frequency. And I'm like, this is not broad, dude. Just because you didn't add a remarketing audience doesn't mean that the algorithm is going to listen to your wishes.
All right, so let's break that down for a second because you bring up a huge point. So you're talking about broad audience targeting. So depending on where you're at, this might be an audience of 200, 300 million, maybe 100 million, like big audiences, correct? Mm-hmm. And so these guys are launching ads. And here's something for you to look out for. And I'm talking to my directors of marketing, my VPs of marketing, and even the media buyers. Is like, if your agency has this going on, this is a huge red flag because all they're doing is spoon feeding you back results. And probably those results look pretty good, but the fact that they have to swap out every 3 days means that in a broad audience, all the algorithm is doing is going out and finding the people who have previously bought from you, previously opted in, previously landed on your page, the warmest traffic possible. And that's why when we talk about our ACC model, the awareness, consideration, conversion model, which is much broader, where you're actually expanding the market through top of funnel content, you can expand your audiences inside those broad audiences by getting more potential conversion audiences. But the key to all this is the exclusions, is excluding everybody who knows anything about whatever you've ever done. And that could be page views, that could be Instagram page visitors. That could be people who have engaged with your videos. That could be custom audiences who have landed on your page. This is leads. This is buyers all time. You got to take them out of your audience. It's not perfect because they always, Facebook especially, will find people who are familiar with your brand in some way that you haven't excluded. It's just the algorithm is that smart. But if you're not doing that as a base level, and every single plan, every single growth plan we ever have done, and you probably see this as well, Ivan, is that the previous agency has all those audiences mashed in together and they're getting, oh, look at my ROAS. I'm getting a 6x ROAS. We just did a strategic growth plan for a client who ended up going with another agency. I don't know why, because they're idiots. But the point is like their current agency was getting a 6x ROAS. And we're like, your first couple of weeks with us, you're probably going to get down to a 2. They're like, oh my God, how is that possible? I'm like, well, it's because they're selling to your pre-existing clients. Like, we're going to pull out all those people and actually start selling to new customers. And it's going to be painful for your first month. Okay. So, well, what do you mean? My first month and my first 2 months, you guys aren't going to be getting me results? I'm like, yeah, that's the way that it works in new customer acquisition. Because we have to rebuild everything from scratch and undo what your idiot agency was doing prior to this, or your idiot team. Now I'm ranting. But at the very least, if you're not doing exclusions, it's a major red flag. Agree, disagree, Ivan?
1,000,000%.
We don't normally get Ralph this riled up, Ivan, just so you know. This is...
Well, it pisses me off because there's 42,000 agencies out there, guys. and most of them are shit.
Yep.
They really are.
You know,
Unfortunately,
just coming their defense, most of them are just like amateurs. You know, it's not like they're bad people. They're just like, it's a kid in his basement who took a course, or a guy who lost his job and is trying to figure something out. And man, does my heart go out to him. But like,
I get it.
Don't tell people you can do stuff you can't do, especially when, to a point that Ivan made during the pre-record, like media buying used to be something you could learn in a weekend. Truly.
Right.
It's triple PhD shit now. You can't step up and be like, yeah, I can do heart surgery. You know, like that's murder.
I'll do a weekend class on thoracic surgery. That's fine. I could do that.
So it's just gotten so much more complex, but the educators in the space and the narrative that we've sold hasn't necessarily caught up to that.
The barrier to entry is less than zero. And a guy that I met at a conference, literally it was three months ago, is that Meta Performance Summit. So like he came up to me, he's like, I hadn't met him. He's heard me talking to somebody else. At that point in time, he hadn't really watched any of our YouTube videos, but he recognized who I was. He's like, hey, you're Ralph Burns from Perpetual Traffic. I'm like, yeah. He's like, thank you so much. You're the agency that has launched. No, you're the podcast that has launched 1,000 agencies. And I'm like, oh, shit. Like, we're partially responsible for it, to a certain degree.
You invented the modern Facebook agency. That was your fault.
Modern Facebook agency.
The modern Facebook agency
my fault.
Is Tier 11's template.
Well, it's me, Kurt Molly. I don't know what he's doing these days. Haven't talked to him in a while. And Jason Horning. Like, it was the three of us. I will give joint credit to. We were the first three Facebook ad agency.
The Frankenstein that you created.
And now everybody thinks they can do it. But the point is like, that's fine, because I think a lot of people have started agencies to escape the corporate life and all the other sorts of things. That's fine. I get that. You got to make ends meet. But for a business owner, it means there's 40,000 agencies out there that absolutely suck because they do all this stuff, and we see it every single day. Ivan, you see it. I know we work awfully very, very closely together. You're the one agency that we actually work with where we're like, hey, if you're a regional, local, or a smaller business, Ivan's your guy. And come through us first, and then we'll go to Ivan, because you guys get it. But so few agencies do it. Same thing on the Google side. If somebody is coming, for really high level Google strategy, we go to Solutions 8.
Yeah, as a young agency owner, I went the wrong way there. The fairness that I would insist upon was only outward. And so, people could mistreat us, ask for absurd things, and I'd like refund, or I was just so desperate not to piss anybody off. But I like the emphasis that fairness needs to be a two-way street. And you actually need to stand your ground